good evening, depending on your time zone. How are you doing today? We are here once again. Of course, as you join us, kindly hit the like button, share this video, and turn on the notification button so that you can get our videos. And others have to join us in this exciting moment here with Chigos in Debo. Yes, today we're to look at the statement of the Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile, following the total compliance to the directive that no Biafran across the entire Biafran state or territory should participate in the ongoing Nigerian mass protests, which of course you can witness across the north, the south. There is massive turnout of the southwestern people, and of course the north. That of Zadia was something else. You saw the massive uh, uh, protests rocking. Even Abuja is not left out. Everybody is on the streets, even advocating for an end of this false constitution that was forced on the masses. It was not a reflection of the Nigerian uh, people's will. And of course, they are calling now, even in Ibadan was also massive, as people were protesting bad governance to end bad governance, and the unfortunate mishap, of course, bedeviling the people. The people has gotten to the point that they could no longer live in denial or deception or self-deception. They have realized that what Dim Chukwemeka fought for, of course, was nothing but truth. If there had been regional government or the Aburi Accord was implemented, this would have addressed this myriad of problems Nigerians are now confronted with. The realities. It is no longer a moment to deny the reality. Unfortunately, they have been living in this denial for decades now, but it keeps on staring at them. They could no longer contend with the economic mishaps. The politicians, unfortunately, has taken over the entire, have mortgaged the destiny of over 200 million Nigerians, those who still believe in the Nigerian project. But for some, of course, they have already given up. That could have informed the reason why they are now on the streets of Nigeria. Not just a particular region, but it is very different when it comes to the eastern region or the entire defunct Biafran region. People were going about their businesses as the directive has been given that no one, of course, should participate in the Nigerian protests organized by Nigerians as a result of the bad governance, economic mishaps, poverty, ravaging, or should I use the word devouring poverty, of course, is the order of the day. The poverty is devouring, not just consuming. It's devouring all asunder, devouring families, devouring communities, devouring locals, devouring those in urban settlements, devouring those in the local, of course, villages, just as I am now. You can understand that people are still crying and wailing because it cuts across the entire facets of human existence in Nigeria. People are not finding it easy and very difficult to survive indeed. This have informed the reason why, of course, people are hitting the streets. I mean, as if they could no longer contend. It is time. It is battle for finish. It is battle to end this system called Nigeria, as some are demanding the end of the Constitution, that the Constitution is a product of deception, a product of cruelty, a product of manipulation, that people's destiny and future has been manipulated, and as such, poverty forced on them, even when they are the West. You see people trooping, people who are poverty-stricken, people who has been deadly impacted by these economic mishaps, of course, could no longer contain it. But for the Biafrans, Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile, has commended the entire Biafran territory or the defunct Eastern region, of course, for their resilience and commitment to that cause of Biafran restoration, haven't complied to the directive that no part of Biafra should observe the protest. And indeed, that was just what happened. But in other regions, you saw people who are hit, of course, strongly by these economic tides and destructive anti-government policies have hit the street. This is, of course, just the two of these protests that was scheduled to run for 10 days. Nobody knows what might be the end of this protest. Of course, we just know that it's just rolled out. Yesterday was the 1st of August, and today being the 2nd day of August, being the 2nd day of the protest, nobody could know. Of course, it has commenced in different parts of the north. And of course, people are not giving in. Indeed, there could be a possible shift in dynamics, of course, of events, but we are still just watching as things unfold. Of course, there have been apprehensions, fears, and panic in Aso Rock. Tinubu on the run, he have not been able to address his citizens, I mean the citizens of Nigeria, which had been looking forward to his address. But unfortunately, in the midst of this crisis and dilemma, the president, who should have understood the predicaments of the people, who claimed previously to have the feelings or the pains of the masses, is now hiding, is on the run. Where is the president? That is the question. Why would he not address the people, especially as issue of great concern, issue of monumental magnitude of this kind, where the fellow citizens is now on the streets. They have abandoned all whatever is left or whatever they may want to do, prioritizing their safety and their future, which is at the end of extinction. It's quite very disturbing and very unfortunate that Nigeria, that is blessed with enormous natural resources and human capital development, unfortunately, human resources are now retrogressive, backward, and thinking abysmally. Just as we can see the demonstration of the people, these are not censored. These are not people that were bought over. These were people that were forced out of their homes and communities because of hunger, because of the frustration resulting to these economic mishaps. People barely find it, of course, difficult, extremely difficult to make a living. Not just a living, just to have a meal a day becomes almost impossible here in Nigeria. This have informed the reason, of course, contrary to some notions and suggestions that this could be sponsored. Of course, we have seen the government again, just as Falana, a human activist, and of course, a legal luminary of great repute, have warned the government of Ahmed Bola Tinubu to stop sponsoring youth against the protesters, those who are willingly protesting for their rights, and of course to demonstrate their grievances and dissatisfaction over the cruelty, over the injustice, over the cannibalism by the political leaders. They are feeding on the future of the masses. They have made life more frustrating. They have made life more difficult or almost impossible for humans to survive in Nigeria. Oh, thank you once again, Ajere Global Media. I do appreciate you once again, Onyeze. So exactly what is happening, we are seeing the effect of this, that Nigerians who are known to be suffering and smiling are now rising up to the reality, of course. But that notwithstanding, before now, some persons are being perceived, or group of people, or perhaps some ethnic nationalities, to be the enemies of the people. They have been censored or psychologically controlled or configured to believe that their perceived enemies are just perhaps the Igbos. But unfortunately, the reality is catching up with them. Thank God that the Igbo extraction or candidacy never saw the light of the day. Peter B was messed up, of course, in the last presidential pool. He was mesmerizingly, of course, sidelined because of his ethnic alignment and identity. But that, of course, was a blessing in disguise for those who cares to know. Yes, of course, for those who believe in the emancipation of the Eastern people. They believe that the Peter B not emerging as the president of Nigeria was a great blessing in disguise. Of course, I do agree with that position because that would have altered the narrative if it were Peter B and this is happening, the economic mishaps, pains and agonies is being forced on Nigerians. The entire Igbo race would have been hunted down across the regions. Even those who are within the helms of affairs today would have sponsored another genocide, of course, and the apartheid against the Igbos. But thank God they are now in the helm of affairs. Unfortunately, they have repeatedly shown that they lack the capacity and, of course, the intellectual or economic prowess to drive a viable economy. Well, that is not my area of concentration. Today, it is very clear, it has been registered internationally before the international communities that Nigerians are hungry and haggard. The Nigerians are no longer happy with the system called Nigeria, and Nigerians have rejected the administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, not just the administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, even the entire government or governors of the entire regions have been rejected. It's a vote of no confidence, as I've maintained, of course, before now, that the people have rejected Nigeria. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been calling for the review of the Constitution. The abolishment of the current 1999 Constitution has been declared anathema, a curse, and of course, an illegal document has been expressed by some legal luminary that measures on constitutional reforms, just like Ozakome, that described the current Nigerian Constitution as an illegal document and does not, of course, hold waters as far as the people is concerned. It does not reflect the input of the masses of the ethnic nationalities that form, of course, the defunct Nigerian state. But if that be the case, Simon Ekpa is celebrating the entire Biafrans and the Biafrans across the eastern region for not participating in the ongoing Nigerian protests. You know what that means? To him, of course, is an affirmation that the people have confirmedly and overwhelmingly rejected Nigeria. Haven't voted yes for the restoration of the Biafran state. Over 49 are hitting 50 million who have voted yes to the restoration of the Biafran Republic. You know what that means? That a population that have never participated in the Nigerian electioneering process, if people who has even been sidelined, of course, came out of events, have not been given opportunity to express their voice or legitimate right to participate in the Nigerian elections, you barely could have seen such turn-up in the entire eastern region or southeast and south, of course, that makes up the Biafran defunct territory. None of such records have been made in the history of Nigeria. Never in history of Nigeria has over 49 people or Nigerians participated in the total election. It is a very far cry regarding what has transpired in the past. So for you to see people voting yes for Biafra, 49 millions of Biafrans. The last election was the president, or the incumbent president, was about 6 point something million, less than 7 million. You know what that means? The total election cast was not just up to 25 million or thereabout. You know what that means? No, for 49 million people to say yes to Biafra restoration is a statement of fact, is a statement of reality, is a statement, of course, of current realities that the people have given up in Nigeria. You don't need any other miracle. You don't need any other prophet to tell you that the people are already out of Nigeria because of the realities on ground. So you can't ignore such number of people, more far beyond even the total elections cast in Nigeria. There have never been history of Nigeria where you have, of course, about the 80 million was projected to be the total number of voters, valid voters in Nigeria. But if 49 plus will vote yes to Biafra exit, Biafra restoration, the sovereignty of the Biafran state to be restored, then it means it's well over more than 50%, the entire, of course, valid votes, already start voters in Nigeria. What does that tell you? That they have their way, they have made far exceeding, of course, more than 60% of the entire votes of valid voters in Nigeria. So this is a plus, and of course, a thing to be celebrated by the Biafran people and those who believe in the cause of Biafra and the restoration of the black race, of course, in the world. This will put the entire black race on the path of progress in the map of the world to be reckoned with. The lost glory of Africa will be restored by the emergence of the Biafran state. You can't doubt this, except, of course, you are the enemy of the truth. Biafrans has been known the world over to have contributed immensely. The ingenuity, their, of course, industriousness is second to none. They have contributed in the global world. Needless to say, you have them, the Philip Emeagwales, the Ngozi Okonjo-Iwealas. I mean, the list is countless. People, even in medical fields, you have them technologically wise. In every field of human endeavors, you've seen Biafrans excelling exceptionally in their field of endeavors. With these enormous resources, unfortunately, they were not given opportunity to showcase their talents and potentials within Nigeria. Most of them who are fortunate fled the Nigerian state and, of course, are doing exceptionally well across Europe, America, Asia, Australia, and other African countries, exhibiting their talents and potentials and developing, of course, and contributing to the human development and the development of the regions where they found themselves. These are people who have been redundantly have been marginalized and suppressed within the Biafran system and within the Nigerian configuration, who believes, of course, they can't continue being subjected and subjugated. That expression of the humanness, of the potentials inherent within them must find expression, and there is no other better time than now. You understand the killing, the Nazi, of course, massacre of the Israelites, about 6 million Jews, of course, presided the emergence of a nation called the Israelites. If that has not happened, perhaps they would have remained wherever they are. But when they saw they needed, of course, to have an identity, and rather than being mixed up or lost in the entire process, they fought for that independence, which became a reality in 1948. Israel nation was built, and of course, today Israel is to be reckoned when it comes to technology, when it comes to human advancement and development. Israel have found, of course, their need and are doing exceptionally well for themselves and the world at large. The same thing applies to the Biafran state. Now, for Simon Ekpa to celebrate the entire Biafrans in the defunct Biafran territory is, of course, a plus for the Biafrans, despite several calls that Igbos should join this protest as a way of calling for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that have been held-bound and incarcerated after his extraordinary rendition 4 years down the line. Nigerian state and government is still not been clear of what could have been the reason why he's been held, because as long as I know, and based on the provisions of the Constitution, there is no any competent court of law that have indicted or Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of any crime or non-crime within the Nigerian state. So he remained innocent. Unfortunately, he's been oppressed. He's been, of course, held back because of the fears of unknown or what possibly could lead, of course, the aftermath of his release. Well, some have called that the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would end the sit at home in the East, just as it's been observed today as well. There have been total compliance. Unfortunately, one of my brothers who happens to be in Owerri, working as his teacher, there was a compulsory teachers seminar or so. These proprietors sometimes, because when they have the opportunity, they think that all is what they got, that in control of the hem of affairs. My brother told me, that everybody's called for safety in Owerri municipal. They now took the forest, as a shelter. They fled because, you see, when you jeopardize your workforce, if anyone that is killed, they will replace you. So you have to make use of your sense, I told him. You see, despite the fact it's in the Owerri municipal, you have to observe, because even the security personnel cannot guarantee your safety. Unfortunately, most of the security operatives were calmed down, and you begin to ask, if that is possible, then what happens to a bloody civilian who has not even any training or any sense of security at all? He's just zombie, walking to his death and destruction. Well, I just thank God that he was part of those survivors. He never ended up, of course, in the name of attending seminar, teacher seminar, or whatever rubbish that is. But the reality for those who are doubting, they saw, of course, life and death. But those who are unfortunate eventually died. But the reason I'm saying is, if militaries or security operatives are being killed, when they see civilians, they may want to repress their angers on them, not necessarily because these are the unknown gunmen or those who are sponsoring or facilitating the sit-at-home compliance. When you see, of course, it is natural because of the pains and agony, they may resort to killing, just as we have seen in different occasions where after the killing of the security operatives, you see the security personnel at rampage, killing and massacring people, burning down houses. So if you eventually run into them, it means you're a gunner and you have yourself to be blamed. That's why it is very important in a very precarious moment as this, you comply. You are the chief security of yourself. Nobody can guarantee your security better than you do. If you violate the compliance for the sit at home, and of course you are aware, I'm very much aware that the chief security officer of the country, the chief of defense staff have told you that they can't be everywhere at the same time, even in your locality. They can't be everywhere implies that you're on your own. Whatever happens to you, you have to bear the brunt. That is just the interpretation when people who are saddled with the responsibility of protecting life and property, of course, of protecting the territorial integrity of Nigeria against any external aggression, unfortunately could not meet up with the internal security. It means there is fundamentally something wrong about that. Then if you ignore such warning from the chief security officers, then you are more than an idiot. Yeah, if I may use just a more mild words, because you are more than something called an idiot. Because an idiot is an animal that has senses, of course, of danger within his environment and may want to spread his tentacles in defense of himself. But you are more than idiot, because idiot can defend himself and might spread his tentacles against any predator. But you are just a bloody civilian who unfortunately does not know his left and from his right. People who died, unfortunately, wouldn't have died if not that they ignored, of course, the warning. Unfortunately, they met their death. So let's have your reactions regarding this development. Here says, please, Biafra Republic government in exile. Something is happening in Nkwo, okay, Uli, in Imo State. What exactly is happening? Nobberman, what exactly is happening? Okay, great people of God. Okay, at home, what exactly is happening? You are not very precise regarding this. Good morning, watching. Okay, good morning to you all. Good morning, Agile Global Media. Thank you for the super chats. You see, what is sitting here? Is it doing well? Please, I don't understand that. Okay, hello, thank you for being part of this. Can you have a shortcut to what? I don't understand what you mean. Thank you very much for being part of this brief broadcast this morning here in CoreWave TV, bringing you the latest and Obunga news here. Of course, in just a moment, we shall be wrapping up here for today's editions to come your way with more exciting and entertaining news and analysis here again. Just a matter of just hours from now, we'll be loaded, of course, to give you updates and realities unfolding. Today is the second day for the Nigerian protesters who are hitting the streets of Nigeria across the nation or the region, except for the Biafran territory, who have said, to hell to your protest, you will die and suffer. Of course, the government told you, Tinubu promised that you will labor until you die. And if he has said that, he's keeping to his promise, and you don't have to blame him because he said it. He also made a promise to the Nigerians that he's going to step in the shoe of Buhari, meaning that he's going to make more things worse than you. So what you're expecting is just a promise kept. So are you surprised that what is happening is happening? Well, if you're surprised, you could not be far from a zombie. I don't mean to insult my intelligence, but that is just the reality. When somebody speaks, you have to be very, of course, articulate and understanding to decipher and to pick out whatever he meant. He just meant what he said, and what he said is just what is happening. That he's going to step in the shoe of somebody who have ruined and destroyed destinies of Nigerians, who have impoverished Nigerians, who has given more opportunities for insurgencies, for terrorists to occupy Nigeria. He says he's going to do worse. That means more killings for the indigenous people of Biafra, more sacking. Unfortunately, this sacking have extended to his own region, the Southwest, where in less than 2 weeks, 3 Obas were killed by the Fulani militias. And just to say the least, many communities have been sacked. It's just a promise kept. So if you're surprised, well, I'm also surprised that you're surprised that this is happening. But for me, I'm not surprised because I know he said it. And when he said it, he meant it. But unfortunately, people were disillusioned, were blindfolded because of ethnic and bigotry, of course, sentiments and religious of sentiments. Today, those who were blindfolded, unfortunately, the sky has fallen off their eyes, and they are now on the street demanding for something that is almost impossible. As far as Tinubu is concerned, he cannot meet all those demands and needs. Of course, he have told you there is nothing he can do except for you to find alternative. Either you have money to Japa, or you could also sell your children to make raise of funds to Japa. But that is what the reality stands now. As people are selling their children, of course, disposing their houses, and even robbing some banks, bank staffs are robbing their customers to gather money to flee. One of my friends was indicted on this. Unfortunately, he was not just indicted, but his account officer robbed the bank for him to jump out to Canada. Everybody is at a state of desperation. But these are the realities staring at us. It's a promise kept for me. I wasn't surprised. But then, if you're surprised, I'm also surprised. I'm coming your way, of course, with more exciting and intriguing analysis here in CoreWeb TV. Keep watching, share this video, let it go viral. Let people get to know that it is time. It is no other better time than now. If they care to define and redefine their place, well, the change of constitution is not a panacea to the myriads of problems bedeviling Nigeria. It is just a mere, of course, a distraction calling for a change of constitution. The beneficiaries of this flawed system or constitution will never allow you to do so. So except there is a more powerful force that will dislodge them from the position of power. But, well, I'm not calling for violence, but then the people have to speak for themselves, defend themselves, and of course decide what their future becomes. For the Biafrans and the Biafran Republic government in their side, they have made, of course, their positions well known and ahead of time, of course, with their demands and their pursuit for the restoration of the declaration of the Biafran sovereignty that has been slated for the 2nd of December, which remains sacrosanct and unmovable, according to the Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile. They are working towards the actualization of this with the engagement of international lobbies, which have made very laudable progress in this regard, engaging the U.S. and the United Nations and communities of great repute.